Hey y'all, this is Crystal Nicole. I am checking in because I got something I want to talk about. So I tend to have a lot of conversations with my daughter and with my nephews. A lot of conversations. My goal is to teach her as much as I can as a woman, as a mother, because you never know how long you're going to live and when your last day is. And I would want her to know some things. So in the conversation, she starts roasting me. I'm telling her about the stuff I've went through in relationships and what I did and what happened to me and what I allowed. And the whole time I'm talking to her about this stuff, I have to hear her say, "That was stupid. Why you stick around for that? Why you let that man play in your face like that? Why you accept that? Why didn't you leave a long time ago? Why did you stay around for that too long? Why did you deal with that?" Those are questions that I have to face my daughter with when it comes down to answering them. I want her to learn from my mistakes, but she can't learn from my mistakes if I don't tell her my mistakes. She can't learn from my bad decisions and my bad choices and my bad habits if I don't expose them to her. So I would rather look crazy and be asked these questions and be roasted by a 19-year-old and told that I wasn't so smart and I let somebody play in my face and absorb it and take it, because she's not wrong. I'm glad she can identify that as playing in my face and me accepting something that I'm not worthy of. However, I don't want her to experience what she don't have to experience. So I don't care how bad it made me look. I don't care how silly I look, because it was bad and I was silly. I still have to tell her because I love her. And whatever scrutiny comes with that, whatever little joke she has, I'm accept it. It's cool. Tough skin. I can handle the jokes. I can handle her saying, "Mom, you stupid." I can handle her saying, "Why you deal with that? Why did you accept that?" What I cannot handle is me not telling her and she repeating something and it becomes a cycle. And she doesn't teach her daughter because I didn't teach her that she has to teach her daughter. And then that becomes a cycle. Now, that is how you create generational curses. My goal, my desire, my wants, my heart's intentions is to stop it. I want to be the curse breaker. I want to be the person that stood up and stood on business and accepted what was accepted and went through what I had to go through to make sure she's going to have better and do better. So when she asks me, "Why did you stay for so long?" I have to answer that honestly. I have to face telling my daughter that I didn't value myself enough to walk away. I didn't love me enough to not accept being treated certain ways. I didn't honor myself enough to leave. I accepted things because I didn't want it any other kind of way. I just wanted who I wanted and who I loved, and I wanted them to want me the same and love me the same, but that never happened. So now that I'm older, I understand that you find somebody who see you and see you for who you are, look at you and what you have and how you represent yourself and know your character and value you on the first go round. They shouldn't have to lose you to see you. They shouldn't have to have a separation come upon them to understand that she's it. She's the one. The right person is going to know you out the first time around. They're going to value you. You won't have to love them into loving you. That don't work, honey. Don't work, baby. Trust me, it don't work. You can't love them into loving you. You can't love them into treating you right. You cannot love them into acting right. You can't love them into being the person God has for you. And check this out. A lot of times it don't work out because that's not who God has for you. So now I'm trying to teach my 19-year-old daughter to seek after what God has for you, because you won't have to go through all of that. You're going to still go through something, but it ain't going to be a lot of stuff I went through. It won't cost you your peace. It won't cost you your self-worth. It won't cost you your confidence. It won't cost you your health, because when you go through all this stuff with the wrong people, stuff starts to break down and deteriorate. You start gaining weight or lose. Your hair start coming out. You start looking older in age. I had to do some self work. I had to really let go and suffer through the pain until the pain went away, until I was healed, and then work on myself. And then that's when I said, okay, I love her. I love me. Because there were things that I experienced in relationship that had me not loving me and loving me the way I needed to. I didn't love her. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't see this girl that I see today. But this girl was there before I got with them. But then afterwards, she was gone. And it took me a lot to get her back. A whole lot. There are times where I would be hurting and upset and just going through it. And I would like go to my room and just cry myself to sleep. And my daughter would knock at the door and she'll want to be up under me, and I would be like, no, I'm tired, go to your room. She told me that, Mom, I felt like you was pushing me away. And that hurt me, because I was just trying to hide my tears from her, because I didn't want my daughter to see me crying over a boy, over somebody I know she loved and cherished. I didn't want my daughter to see me hurt. So me thinking I'm protecting her actually hurt her. It made her feel rejected. She just felt like her mom didn't want her, and she's like my world. I'm so attached to my baby, but I was just like, I can't let her see me hurt over him. I can't let her see me hurting and crying, because I had to be strong, because like I had to be strong for her. I found out being strong for her was loving me, was doing better for myself, and was walking away. I learned something. In order for you to maintain and keep something that's outside of the will of God, you're going to have to stay outside of the will of God. So my relationship with God was strained for years, because in order for me to hold on to somebody that God didn't give me, I had to operate outside his will to try to keep it, and it still wasn't good. Did I keep him? Yes. But keeping something that's not for you ain't even a flex. Nevertheless, I stayed. I dealt with it, and I had to have that conversation with my daughter, and I had to let her look at me crazy and say, you stupid. You silly. Ma, why you let them people play in your face like that? Was she lying? No. I had to answer her questions. I had to tell her my why. And then I had to tell her I didn't love me. I didn't honor me. And it took me loving you and honoring you for me to break that cycle. Because when my daughter got old enough to start noticing things and started asking questions, guess what I did? I adjusted. Because what I didn't want was for her to think it was okay, because she's seen her mother accepting some things that I would never want her to accept. So I had to stop accepting some things and some treatments, because I have a daughter, because she's watching me, and because I love her so much that I had to adjust how I move and what I accepted and what I allowed. So what, you look stupid? You was stupid. So what, you was dumb? You look dumb. She's 19. She's gonna roast. They got jokes. I also talk to my nephews about this stuff. I do it. And the more I do it, and the more I'm vulnerable with them, the more they laugh and they joke, but they're also like, okay, auntie, yeah, I don't like that you went through that. And then they understand. My daughter appreciates it, I think. So, good thing I didn't do a whole lot of crazy stuff, because I was always an inside, churchy type girl. I wasn't no outside girl. I wasn't in no parties. I didn't have a lot of dudes, a lot of boyfriends. I had like 2 or 3 serious relationships. They were all at least 4 or 5 years or longer. However, I dealt with some stuff. I've experienced some stuff. I've done stuff. I'm not going to say I'm 100% innocent. I'm about 95% innocent, though. Maybe 97% innocent. I don't think women really talk to their daughters about their relationships and what they experience. I just know now that my daughter has to see me in a healthy relationship. I know I'm not going to be in another unhealthy relationship. I know I'm going to look for what God has for me, because God will work on what he has for you. Anything that you want maintained by God needs to come from God. He's not going to maintain something he didn't give you. You can't just go pick any dude off the street because he look good and you like him and he make you feel good and say, okay, God bless it. Okay, God bless it. God is going to be like, I didn't give you him. He made Eve for Adam. He made her for him because that's what Adam needed. And Adam didn't even know he needed a wife or needed Eve. These dudes don't be knowing all the time. But if he didn't give it to me, he's probably not going to sustain it. And when I was trying to be sustained in situations and relationships that he didn't give me, that he was telling me this ain't going to work, this ain't going to work, I was like, yeah, but I love him. I'm going to try to love him some more. I'm going to pray. All that praying I was doing, Lord, save him. Lord, fix him. Lord, let him see me. Lord, I want him to love me. I was just looking for somebody to love me to the capacity that I love. And I have not found that. I found people that love me. But to that capacity, I have too great of a capacity. And I dealt with it because my capacity is large. So to find somebody who really knows love and understands it and knows how to do it effectively and really look at you for who you are and your character and your values and what you represent and how you live and how you move and how you treat people and how you love, that's all I was looking for. None of that was respected. I had to argue about going to church. I had to argue with people about believing in God. I had to debate prayer with people. I had to debate doing things God's way with people, because as much as they say, I love that about you, I love that you're spiritual, I love that you believe in God and go to church, but when it came down to them not being allowed to do something or me not doing certain things with them because of that's my belief, it was a problem. So they really didn't honor it. They really didn't love it. When I used to speak at church, I had one boyfriend, Ashley, came to hear me and speak and respected it. One. I only had one. And he moved a white girl in while we was together. I ain't told that story. Me and him still cool. That's the homie. But 4 years in that relationship, he moved in a white girl in his apartment that I had caught him cheating with. And then guess who moved in to me? I had to tell my daughter about it. Not that the girl was white. She's white and her name was Crystal. And he used to call me his little white girl. And I thought he was just like making little jokes about my skin complexion. Because when you light skin, you get called a lot of other races and joked about. I done got used to jokes, but now I'm just sure that that was just his thing. My turning around point was my daughter is watching me. I remember a time getting on the elevator. I had just lost a lot of weight. This is before I started gaining it back because I had a blood clot and the doctors made me not diet for a year, not exercise. It caused me to gain weight. But before that happened, I was looking real good. And I was like, okay, I done lost this weight. I put on my little cute leggings and a little cute shirt, and I got on the elevator, and we were on our way down. And my neighbor was a guy. This was my apartments I was in Richmond Park. And on my way on the elevator, I guess the guy was looking at me, and I didn't notice because I don't pay attention, because I ignore dudes, because a lot of people was just staring. I didn't like it. So got off the elevator, and my daughter was like, he was looking at your butt, and you wore that on purpose. You just want to be seen. You got that on, and you want people to look at you. And why you wearing them little tight leggings with that little short shirt? And she just kept going. She wouldn't shut up. She's like 15, 16. And I was getting mad. But then I thought about, like, my daughter doesn't like this. And she's watching me. And she checked me on what I had on. At 15, 16 years old. Do you know I never do that again? I listened to her because I don't want my daughter uncomfortable. I don't want her to feel weird when someone's looking at her mama and we in public because I'm dressed a certain way. So I immediately shut that down. I really pay attention. Like, I can't hide everything on me, but I don't overly accentuate anything because of that. And we went to a gas station and she's like, "Mom, that dude was looking at your butt." So I'm like, okay, she's paying attention. And then she told me that we was at a store and she'll like to try to walk behind me to keep people from looking. And I noticed that my daughter didn't like it. And that bothered me because she told me though. So I made adjustments because I'm like, I don't want my daughter to feel uncomfortable. I don't want her to not want people staring at her mama, and she's trying to cover me and hide me. So I do a lot more covering myself because my daughter said something to me. And you have to listen to your kids. You are the apple of their eye. I don't want the apple of her eye to be a rotten apple. I have to still be an example in every area. However, I just want to encourage more people to have these candid conversations with your children, with your daughters as well. Let them know that you was mistreated. You was cheated on. You cheated. Tell them. Talk to them about it. And then tell them what was horrible about it and what it cost you and how to move, how not to do that, what to look for, what to expect, how to avoid making those mistakes. Because if you don't teach them, who will? Social media out here teaching them, but it ain't teaching them this. It's teaching them how to have a hot girl summer. It's teaching them how to get the money, get that bread, get that head, and leave. That's what social media is teaching them, not mine. I don't know how many years I got on this earth. You never know when your day is going to be. So she's old enough to understand. She's old enough to know. And if you're not comfortable with saying it, write it down and give it to them. Write it down and give it to them. But if you love your kids, you're going to love you better. You have to love you to love your kids. You can't even pour into your kids if you have nothing to pour. If you keep letting these relationships drain you of everything, your self-worth, your respect for yourself, your love, your humility, what do you have left to teach that to them? You can't teach them self-worth and you don't have it. You can't teach them love and you ain't having it. You don't know how to love nobody if you can't love yourself right. It starts with you. You can pour so much of yourself into these bogus relationships that's just not working because you love them, to the fact that you're completely negligent of your kid. You're completely neglecting your love and your affection and your care for them and your time for them and teaching them. And if you don't love yourself enough to pour into them, you have to love them enough to pour into them. And in order for you to pour into them, you have to have something to pour. You have to have something to pour. So you have to take the time and fill up and pray and fast and go to God and work on you and leave everything that threatens your relationship with your children, that threatens your relationship with God, your relationship with yourself, your love for you. Anything that comes to take and steal and kill and destroy, that is not from God. And God will not sustain a relationship that you're in with somebody that is robbing you of you, your love for him, your respect for your children. He's not going to maintain anything he didn't give you and that's not for you. He's just not. That's like taking your bike to the car lot and saying, "Hey, can you fix this bike?" They're going to say, "No, we don't fix bikes, but we got something better than a bike. You can get a car from us, and then you can bring that back to us whenever something goes wrong. We'll take care of it." God is the car lot. The other dude and them, the ones that ain't really for you, that you want to keep, that you want to love, they might not even be horrible people, but they're not who God has for you. They're not it, and if they're not it, God ain't gonna fix it. For what? So all your praying for him to fix it, you wonder why I never got fixed? Because you taking a bike to a car lot. They don't fix bikes there. You supposed to just get in a car. You old enough. Get your license. You trying to have him repair something that he don't want you with in the first place. Something that's breaking you down. If it's robbing you of your finances, your love, your relationship, your children, it is not from God. When God sends love into your house, when God sends you somebody that's for you and love into your life, it's going to make it rich and not bring sorrow. There's a scripture that says the blessings of the Lord make it rich, and it comes with no sorrow. It's going to add to what you have. Your peace is going to increase. Your love is going to increase. That love for you from that person is going to reinforce something. It's going to multiply. You're going to have multiplied peace, multiplied love, multiplied blessings. You have help. You have help. 2 is better than 1. You should not be making deductions. You shouldn't start losing things when God calls things to multiply. When God sends you something with somebody, things multiply. Not add, they double, triple, times 10, times 100. When they're not from God, you're going to start losing. There's going to be deductions. Peace gone, rest gone. You're starting to look bad. You're starting to feel bad. Your health is depreciating. You're not smiling like you used to. You're no longer happy. Your kids are feeling a distance. Your kids are losing you. You're losing you. But you got this man. You got this relationship. And y'all lasted a long time. That means you stayed in a bad place for a long time, and that is not a flex. I don't care. I was in long relationships. That wasn't a flex, because that means I was foolish. I was foolish. I dealt with some things longer than I should have, longer than God would have had me to, and I wasted some valuable years of my life. But today, now that I'm older and I'm wiser, I just won't do it again. I would rather be by myself. I would never settle. If you don't see me, you don't see my value, you don't see my worth, you don't recognize what you have in your hands. When you get me, I'm not doing it again. And I know everybody think they the bomb, and they think they're this something special, and they think they're this precious something, and every girl feel that way, but I don't care. I ain't them. For real. And I know it. And I'm not gonna deal with being treated any different. But I won't have to, because I'm gonna let God choose. I'm gonna let God give me the person who has the capacity to love me the way I'm supposed to, and who has the capacity to accept the love that I have for them, so that it can be multiplied. And then we can just go forward. And guess what else? My daughter will see her mother experience that. And she's going to know that this is how love is supposed to be. And this is how it's supposed to look. So your purpose and your reason has to be bigger than your level of offense. Because despite how offended this thing might make you, you have to know how to eat the meat and spit out the bones. So when your kid or someone calls you out on something and they're right, whether their intent was to be funny, was to offend, was to hurt your feelings, what you do is you look at what they said and you look for the truth in it, and you ask yourself, did they just lie? Did they just tell the truth? And if they did, you would take the truth out of that, throw away everything else, and then you work on that. So what? Get your feelings out of it. Get your pride out of it. The fact that a truth was just spoken to you was a gift. You take it and you correct it. So I call that eat the meat and spit out the bones. Get out your feelings and fix what needs to be fixed. Because if you love your kids and your unborn grandkids, you're going to correct you so you can correct your kid so that your grandkids can have a better life and a better living. And this is how you create generational blessings. This is how you stop generational curses. Somebody got to do something different and teach their kids something different, because a lot of us was taught some bogus stuff or wasn't taught at all, and we call that culture. Because our grandma and great-grandma and great-great-grandma didn't know nothing and wasn't taught nothing, and they taught us what they knew, and we kept that going, but it was wrong and out of order. And just because it was your grandparents, you think it's okay and you think it's cool, but it's not. It's not cool for mine. It's not cool. They were wrong. They didn't know no better. But I do. God showed me truth. People told me the truth. People laughed and they joked, but they weren't wrong. And I ate the meat and spit out the bones, so that my children and my great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren can have it better than my great-grandma and my great-great-great-grandma. And because I love them. So that's it, y'all. Goodbye.